know SiriusXM has over 100 extra channels on the SiriusXM app filled with ad-free music made for everything you do? Mashup channels, workout channels, channels for parties, or just chilling out and more. Expertly curated for any mood, occasion, or activity. Extra channels let you discover new music and enjoy even more variety from every decade and music style you love. Plus, you can watch some of your favorite SiriusXM shows with SiriusXM Video. And you can do it all along with listening in your car as part of our music and entertainment plan. Right now, we're offering SiriusXM subscription plans for as low as $6 a month, plus fees and taxes. Call 844-711-8800 to find out more about these amazing offers.
Looking for a unique point of view on pro sports game analysis? Then tune in to Big C Sports Podcast on iHeartRadio. Get real sports talk worldwide. Miss a live episode? Replay it on demand on the iHeartRadio app. Join Big C, former NFL player and longtime award-winning radio broadcaster, covering all sports including NFL, NBA, MLB, UFC, NCAA, USL, and more. Tune in live or on demand on iHeartRadio Podcast today.
There you go now. I think I'm Oh, let's see. You gotta get
If you've been thinking about buying a home, you need to be in the zone, the home buying zone. You need a game plan to win in this great real estate market. The Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage has all your bases covered. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, purchasing your dream home, refinancing, consolidating debt, or even considering a reverse mortgage, contact the Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage today. They have the lowest closing costs and they'll close your loan on time, guaranteed, or they'll pay your first mortgage payment. And they even have a 3.5% purchase down payment grant that can get you into a home with little money out of your pocket. It doesn't get more clutch than that, folks. Score big on the biggest purchase of your life. Call Equity Zone Mortgage today at 1-800-772-8624. That's 1-800-772-8624. Or apply online at equityzonemortgage.com and tell them Big C sent you, as heard on the Big C Sports Podcast. License number 0181486.
Rondo Deportes, Bonjour, Vini Vini Vici. Let's get ready to rumble. Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton of Big C Sports. This is Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the number one network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the number one sports show in the universe, according to me, and people who love the universe, and that would include you. What a beautiful day in their hills called Hump Day. I think that's Wednesday. You say it's Wednesday, Big C? Yeah, it's called Hump Day. It's called Wednesday for some reason. It should be called a beautiful day in the neighborhood on a beautiful day called September the 18th. In 2024, today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard in the world. When you go by and test drive yours, tell them sit you where the good Lord split you. And hopefully the good Lord didn't split you too wide. So you can always change that split. All you got to do is drive through some fast food restaurants, and you will get a wider split. That's my story. And I'm taking with it. I got some Big C's Major League Baseball power rankings today on a beautiful Wednesday called Hump Day. Also got a little bit to talk about some NFL football, always NFL football. We got another Thursday night game coming up, but I got to hit on Big C's Major League Baseball power rankings. You know, I always do my thing on reparations, and I do it live. I do it every day with Big C Sports Podcast. I want to tell you, I'm one beautiful, intelligent black man. I always produce the show. I direct the topics. I broadcast all the shows. I do all the sound effects based on the platform provided by the agency. We should all have more laughter in our life. I know I need more laughter in my life. And then the commercials are done. The stats are provided. I even do the storytelling. And then I do the play-by-play. First and goal. 4-yard line. 4 wideouts. 5-man front. The snap turns around. Hands off. Touchdown! Touchdown! Big C! Is that all you got, Big C? Yeah, that's all I got for right now. I know I should have run the ball when Seattle lost that game to New England, but decided to throw the ball. You want to pass it, pass it. You don't want to pass it. You want to run that ball in on the goal line. And then the show's uploaded to 29 podcast applications out of New York City, and they're streaming on 4 TV platforms: Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Number 10, I never missed a show. Now we got people who miss practice. I'm not talking about the game. I'm talking about practice. And now we got people who miss practice. And I want to say also with Big C Sports Podcast, what I love doing is paying homage to the Veterans Crisis Hotline, because they really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. You know, anybody going through issues, pick up the phone, call 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. And when you do, you want to give us some praise, because we all need somebody to lean on. And it's so good when somebody's leaning back. I want to say thank you to Xfinity, Comcast TV, and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like in Genesis 1:3, where God said, reparations now, reparations forever. And then God said, let me be light. I want to shine light on the world when it comes to Big C Sports Podcast. You know, I love what's going on in this world. I believe in this push for reparations. I will always have that bullhorn so I can be the one to announce it. I want to be the first one to announce that reparations has happened for the descendants of chattel slavery. Yeah, they say because it's already happened for other people. Yeah, I know that's right. And I want to make sure I do my part. I also want to say, when people ask, it's about having sports packages. There's more sports and entertainment packages coming to different networks. Big C Sports wants to be a part of that. You've heard of NFL Red Zone, NFL Network, NBA TV, NHL Network, Major League Baseball TV, CBS Sports, and Big C Sports. I got a lot of good things happening in the world of Big C Sports. I want to make sure that I do my part, because a mind is a terrible thing to waste. And I don't want to waste my mind. But what I want to do, I want to make sure that I give my commercial to you, because I want to make sure that you understand. You got to understand the words that are coming out of my mouth. The great Chris Tucker. Now pay attention, because I may have a quiz. A quiz, Big C? Yeah, I'm going to have a quiz. I have a commercial called, it's more like an infomercial. Yeah, maybe called an infomercial, but it's real. I want real. It has meat on the bones, a guide to protect, preserve, and transfer wealth of Resource Development Consulting, Inc., in conjunction with the law office of Scott Thibodeau and attorney Jones, The Missing Link Long-Term Care Solutions by the Book. Over 3 decades of experience helping seniors and their loved ones get their benefits. Medicare and You, and taking care of tomorrow. In California, it's called Medi-Cal. In other parts of the country, it's called Medicaid. Your family and spouse can avoid the spin down for nursing home costs. You can find out your options at 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624. And just tell them Big C sent you. I promise to you, specialized to navigate and maximize long-term care benefits, protection of your assets without the spin down. There's no more spin down in California. All paperwork and communication with all government agencies are handled by our staff of entitlement specialists. We have ongoing consulting to provide updates as necessary. Benefits covering skilled nursing facilities, prescription medications, medical equipment costs, and more. Protection of your assets. Protection of what? Is that Aflac? No, Aflac's the duck. Asset protection. You get that with the RDC team. A duck can't protect his own assets. That's why you can walk into a restaurant and say, I'll have the duck. The one with the big asset protection, if that makes sense to you. We offer asset protection with the RDC team, including your home, thereby allowing you to leave a legacy for your family. Avoiding the nightmare of debt brought by the government's estate recovery program called probate. And if you don't have a will and a trust, they will have one for you. And they'll take all your assets. In fact, I was talking to some attorneys, and I was told that 7 out of 10 Americans do not have a will and a trust. How many, Big C? I was told by a group of lawyers that 7 out of 10 Americans do not have a will and a trust. That means at the end of your life, you can't determine who gets your stuff. The probate will, and that can last about 2 years. And when they finish taking all your assets, there may not be much left. So you got to make sure you get a will and a trust. You get that with the RDC team, 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624. A one-time processing fee versus monthly insurance premiums for the rest of your life. I'm not done yet when it comes to asset protection. It sounds like a football play. It does sound like a football play, Big C. HUD 1, HUD 2, HUD 3, asset protection. Yeah, I'm going to use that in the NFL if that makes sense to you. Protection insurance coverage required by law, general liability, workers' compensation, lawyers specializing in living trust, Medicaid or Medi-Cal planning for long-term care, avoid probate, life insurance policies, veterans benefits, aid and attendance, pre-planning, and avoid the look-back period. What about your fixed assets, Big C? Do you take care of that? I'm glad you asked, because a trust protects your bank account, your checking account, your savings account, your money market accounts, your certificates of deposit, your life insurance with cash values, your fixed indexed annuities. What about variable assets, Big C? Yeah, I'm glad you asked. A trust protects your real estate, your qualified money, your IRAs, your 401ks, and other investments. For example, avoid capital gains. How do I do that, Big C? Let's say you buy a house for $100,000. Where can I buy the house, Big C? Well, let me finish telling the story. And 1 year later, that house appreciates to $1 million. Well, that's a $900,000 capital gains. You avoid that with a trust. Attention business owners, attention business owners, attention business owners. Over 3 decades of experience, you got to find out your other options to protect what your insurance does not cover. Oh, my insurance covers everything. All we got to do is see a copy of your declaration page, and we can tell you if your insurance covers everything. 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624. And just tell him Big C sent you. Well, Big C, I got a friend. He also does trust. Well, I got to tell you this. There are a lot of people that do trust. But you want to ask, who are their references? And a lot of them, they won't tell you who their references are because they may not have many. With the RDC team, with the Big C team, we have references. In fact, you hear about it at high school football games. What do the cheerleaders say? They say, we've got references. Yes, we do. We've got references. How about you? They actually say we got spirit, Big C. I know they say that, but you got to play along with the story. We have the references of the late James Gomez, who advised 4 California governors and led change in California nursing homes. He also served on Golden One's board of directors for 21 years. But not only that, he was the CEO of the California Association of Health Facilities. He endorsed the RDC team. But not only that, we have the late Robert Carlson. He was the top legal counsel for CalPERS. He endorsed the RDC team. But not only that, I got to tell you, not only that, we have George Jones. He's the chair of the California Black Chamber of Commerce, also the California Black Chamber of Commerce Foundation. We have Attorney Scott Thibodeau, one of the top estate planners in Northern California. But not only that, we have Mr. Leon Woods, works with many of the top lobbyists in California. But not only that, we have Miss Cheryl Brown. Now, she's the chair of the California Commission on Aging. But not only that, we have Mr. Ray De La Cruz. He's the CEO of Resource Development Consulting, been doing this thing over 34 years and counting. But not only that, we have Alex De La Cruz, the founder of American Veteran Benefits. But not only that, we have Charlton Curry, the co-chair of the National Black Wall Street Project. I endorse the RDC team, also business development consultant with the RDC team. But not only that, owner of Big C Sports Podcast Corporation, the #1 sports podcast in the universe. I give you meat on the bone. You ever wonder where's the beef? You get meat on the bone when you order with the RDC team and the Big C team. But not only that, we have Double O. She's the payout committee for the National Black Wall Street Project. She's also business development consultant with the RDC team, does weekly Zooms. But not only that, she has her own economics awareness talk show called Let's Eat. You can Google it on Access in Sacramento. Give that some praise. I say give it praise, praise, praise. Can your friend do that? See, I talk to a lot of people and they want to tell me they got a friend that does trust, but their friend has nobody, not nobody who trusts them enough to endorse them in writing. That's my story and I'm sticking with it. There's a lot of great things happening with Big C Sports Podcast. I really do. I want people to hear, but not only am I a show that loves talking sports, NFL football, NBA basketball, Major League Baseball. I will get into Big C's Major League Baseball power rankings. I do it my way. What did Johnny Cochran say? He said, I did it my way. that's not what Johnny Cocker said. He said if the glove don't fit, you must have quit. It was Frank Sinatra who said he did it this way. Well, he wasn't the only one that said it. You always trying to put your 2 cents in. But I get to say, I did it my way. I'm going to do it my way, and you can do it your way too. But I got to tell you, because I'm so strong on reparations, I want to make sure I pay homage to it. The California Reparations Task Force, because I know a mind is a terrible thing to waste. And also want to give praise to CJAC, a coalition for a just and equitable California. There's a lot of great things going on, CJAC-official.org. There's a lot I want to get into. But I want to give praise before I get into my sports show to the California Reparations Task Force. Someone tried to wreck the buffet at the state capitol with all the work they put in with 1,065 pages of recommendations, and someone tried to wreck the buffet at the state capitol. But we're not done yet. We're not done yet. And what did Arnold Schwarzenegger, former California governor, say? He said, I'll be back. And we will be back. That's my story, and I'm taking with it. I want to give praise to the inimitable Dr. Shirley Weber, the Secretary of the great state of California. She worked with California Governor Gavin Newsom to put together a task force. And the dirt will come out in the wash. There's some rumors that California Governor Gavin Newsom, he may have been the man who tried to wreck the buffet at the state capitol. I'm telling all these beautiful and intelligent African Americans, I support a reparations task force. And now they want to have the colleges study again. Study what? You've already had some great lawyers. And the Secretary of the great state of California. And the inimitable California Senator Stephen Bradford. They've already done the work. Why would you take it back to a college and have them study? A lot of colleges have a very low rate for African American men and women. So you want to put the California Reparations Task Force, their findings, into the hands of people who do not come from the descendants of chattel slavery? May Latin strike! The dirt will come out in the wash. I learned that a long time ago. The dirt will come out in the wash. If you say they didn't do it, have it come out and speak now. Say it loud! That I didn't do anything to stop the vote. Count all the votes! We've heard that before. The dirt will come out in the wash. I want to give praise to Camila Moore, the chair. She's an expert on reparative justice and international law. She's also appeared on Big C Sports Podcast. I want to give her praise. I want to give praise to Dr. M.C. Brown. He also appeared on the Big C Sports Podcast over the summer. He also gave the benediction at the Democratic National Convention. I want to give him praise. I want to give praise to California Senator Stephen Bradford. He's like Moses in the Bible, in the book of Exodus. When God told Moses, he said, go down into Egypt and tell Pharaoh to let my people go. And Moses said to God, well, who do I tell him sent me? And God said, tell him I am sent you. And he went down and did his thing. And rumor has it that California Senator Stephen Bradford, who will become the next Lieutenant Governor of California, he was on his knees praying, asking God, how do I get reparations passed for the state of California? And God told him, according to some rumors, he said, go down to the state capitol and tell them I said to pass reparations. And it was working. Senate Bill 1050 passed with a 56-0 vote. What kind of vote, Big C? It was 56-0 for yes. And then they tabled Senate Bill 1403 in 1331. They tried to throw a banana in the tailpipe. You ever have a banana in your tailpipe? It's not a good feeling from what I said and what I saw when I saw Beverly Hills Cop with Eddie Murphy. But it's not over yet. It's not over yet. Those bills are going to be brought up again. That's my story, and I've heard it from some people that know if that makes sense to you. I love giving California Senator Bradford some praise. He also crafted name, image, and likeness, NIL, that helps college student athletes get paid for their name, image, and likeness, and I love giving them praise. He also helped craft the Ebony Alert that helps law enforcement put the same amount of resources into finding missing black children as the Amber Alert puts into finding missing white children. I love giving them praise. I want to give praise to Council Member Monica Montgomery Stepp. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. As far as Assembly Member Reginald Jones Sawyer, he appeared on Big C Sports Podcast about 3 weeks ago, and I saw him shucking and jiving after he, too, tried to put a banana in the tailpipe, and he blocked the vote. He would not let them count all the votes. So he has a lot of explaining to do, but he lost a lot of respect from a lot of people. That's my story, and I'm taking with it. I want to give praise to Dr. Shell Grill. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I'm going to give praise to Attorney Lisa Holder. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. She specializes in diversity, equity, and inclusion. I want to give praise to Dr. Javon Scott Lewis, professor at California, Berkeley. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. And I want to give praise to attorney Donald K. Tamaki, part of the California Reparations Task Force. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. As a Japanese American, his ancestry got reparations. You got to give that some praise because he wants descendants of chattel slavery to get reparations too. And so does the United Nations. So does the Just Act. The United States Department of Justice and the German government made sure that descendants of Holocaust got the reparations. We got to get our reparations. It's the right thing to do. I want you to hear from the greatest speaker in the history of this country on reparations.
Because of insane trade policies and because of Reaganomics. And Martin Luther King spoke to this. Jim and Shane, this is clip number 4. Martin Luther King spoke to this sometime back in the early 60s. And I thought this was a really interesting quote. Here he is.
At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. This is what we are faced with, and this is a reality. Now, when we come to Washington, in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
From his speech, The Two Nations of Black America. And it's absolutely brilliant. And the next time some white person talks about, well, I pulled myself up by my bootstraps and my family did too, especially the Bundy boys. I mean, you know, here's Martin Luther King, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. talking about how basically whites stole the West from the Indians with the complete, and didn't just steal it. I mean, murdered them he murdered the Indians in the process, and did not give any of these benefits to African Americans for 100 years in this country. You know, it's a strong case for reparations or some variation on it, for rebuilding our cities, for doing right after having done wrong for so many centuries. It is a very, very strong case for that.
Reparations now, reparations forever. Reparations forever. Dr. King was talking about reparations. You're going to hear what he had to say about it.
From a kind of poverty of the spirit, which stands in glaring contrast to our scientific and technological abundance. The problem is, my friends, that we have learned to fly the air like birds, and we have learned to swim the seas like fish, and yet we haven't learned to walk the earth like brothers and sisters. Racial injustice is still the black man's burden and the white man's shame. So wherever we live in America, we have to face the fact honestly that racial discrimination is present. So don't get complacent. Certainly we've made some strides. We've made some progress here and there. But it hasn't been enough. It hasn't been fast enough. And although we've come a long, long way, we still have a long, long way to go the Negro was freed from the bondage of physical slavery through the Emancipation Proclamation signed by Abraham Lincoln. But the Negro was not given any land.
Reparations now, reparations forever.
And I can hear a voice saying that wasn't enough. I was hungry and you fed me not. I was naked and you clothed me not. I needed shelter and you didn't give it to me. I needed a drink of water. And in a world that's 3/4 water, you made me pay a water bill.
Reparations now, reparations forever. Now you heard the inimitable Dr. Martin Luther King talk about reparations. Listen to Senator Stephen Bradford some 60 years later.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a follow-up. The cost of reparations will be high, but so is the harm to African Americans in this country. The harm and the disparities it created continues to this very day. I've had the privilege of serving again in the legislature for the last 14 years, and we have voted on dozens of bills about wage theft. There has been 250 years of wage thefts for African Americans who were slaves in this country. The harm of this wage theft still exists today. How will California pay for reparations? SB 1331 would establish a fund for reparations and reparative justice and authorize it to receive grants from federal, state, local, and private entities. The Reparations Task Force has painstakingly documented California's role in slavery and the decades of systemic discrimination that followed. People can choose to ignore it. They can be uncomfortable with our history, but they cannot deny the truth. Now's the time to face it, to own up to the debt that is owed, to the right the historic wrongs, to restore and repair damage that has been done. With this, I respectfully ask for I vote for SB 1331.
Thank you, Senator Bradford.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I rise in support of SB 1331, and I want to thank our colleague from Gardena for bringing these forward.
And we have voted on local and private entities. The Reparations Task Force has painstakingly documented California's role in slavery and the decades of systemic discrimination that followed. People can choose to ignore it. They can be uncomfortable with our history, but they cannot deny the truth. Now's the time to face it, to own up to the debt that is owed, to the right the historic wrongs, to restore and repair damage that has been done. With this, I respectfully ask for I vote for SB 1331.
Thank you, Senator Bradford. Senator Skinner.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I rise in support of SB 1331, and I want to thank our colleague from Gardena for bringing these forward and for his work on the Reparations Task Force, and also appreciation to the Reparations Task Force. While as a country or a state, we have not been all that good about reparations for a variety of populations that deserve such. I had the good fortune to, when I was on the Berkeley City Council, to be part of an effort and for our city to pass where we provided reparations to all of the Japanese Americans who had worked for either the city of Berkeley or the Berkeley Unified School District and then were interned. And so we provided them their back wages for the time for which they were interned. Now, while this fund that's being established and the other work that's being done for reparations for slavery does not have that level of detail, it does acknowledge that the result of chattel slavery has had serious negative economic consequences on all of the descendants of chattel slavery. And thus it is very important for us to establish mechanisms for us to address that. And with that, I support the bill and ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Skinner. Any further discussion on SB 1331? Any further discussion? Seeing none, Senator Bradford, you may close.
I want to thank my colleague from Berkeley for drawing that comparison. We have provided reparations and funding for so many programs. We often say the budget is a reflection of our priorities, so this should be one of our priorities, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
All debate having ceased, Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen. Alvarado Gil. Aye. Archuleta. Aye. Ashby. Aye.
Make a note of...
I just want you to hear from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who spoke on reparations. And everybody loves to talk about Dr. King. We shall overcome. Dr. King said himself, the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. And now you have California Senator Stephen Bradford talking about reparations at the state capitol, and it was winning. It was winning because just people want to do the right thing. The Just Act for descendants of Holocaust to get reparations, United States Department of Justice behind that. Japanese Americans interned in internment camps, they got reparations from the state of California. You've heard with your own eyes and ears. When it comes to descendants of child slavery, they want us drunk on football, basketball, and baseball. Touchdown! Home run! 3-point play! Oh man Willie! He's going all the way. And they got us shucking and jiving over sports. And we can do more than that. We can do better. I believe that's why God allowed the Big C Sports Podcast to spread all over the world. The diaspora of the human race. I want to make sure I bring the clergy involved with the lawmakers and the good people. If you're not a good person, you don't believe in liberty and justice for all, then maybe you should get on your knees and ask for some forgiveness. But I'm asking for good people that have already passed reparations for descendants of Holocaust, for Japanese Americans that were interned, and all of the 1866 Indian Treaty that excluded black Americans also. The Homestead Act that gave white Americans the country, the Congress gave white Americans over 160 acres of land, over 300 million acres total, to develop parts of the country. Even white Europeans were given the money and the land. Black Americans were told no. According to Einstein, compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. Is there any wonder there's such a wealth gap? It was created that way. Even when Lincoln passed the Emancipation Proclamation, it was white slave owners that got reparations. President Andrew Johnson. They didn't give it to African Americans. And even to this day, there are people wanting to fight it. But you know the bill passed 56-0. Senate Bill 1050. And that's why Senate Bill 1331 and Senate Bill 1403 are so necessary. It's going to happen because good people are going to make sure it happens. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Well, are you ready for some baseball? Yeah! I love talking about baseball. I got runners on first and third that counts for the pitch. Curveball, swung on, hit deep. Right field, back to the wall, home run. Say hello to my little friends. Gonna play a little excerpt from some Major League Baseball before I get into Big C's Major League Baseball Power Rankings. Runners on first and third that counts for the pitch. Curveball, swung on, hit deep. Right field, back to the wall, home run. Say hello to my little friends. I love saying the girls love the long ball and men love to hit deep. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I'm going to start at number 10 in Big C's Major League Baseball Power Rankings. I got the New York Mets. The Mets they might look back to Wednesday's victory as the key game to remember. If they make the playoffs, it was Toronto's Bowden Francis took a no-hitter into the ninth inning, leading 1-0 by Francisco Lindor. He led off the inning with a home run and an 0-2 fastball, if that makes sense to you. I got to bring the New York City Mets into Big C's Major League Baseball Power Rankings. I have them at number 10. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. I have number 9 at Big C's Major League Baseball Power Rankings. I have runners on first and second. That counts for the pitch. Curveball, swung on, hit deep. Center field, back to the wall. Home run! Say hello to my little friends. I love saying the girls love the long ball and men love to hit deep. When you think about, I have the Arizona Diamondbacks of the National League West. The rotation is finally good. The ace of the staff is Zach Galen, has put together back-to-back scoreless outings, but the Diamondbacks are still waiting on some key starters to get going. The great Eduardo Rodriguez, who did not debut until August 7th, has been charged with 13 runs, 12 earned, and 19 hits in his last 13 and a third innings. You got to look at that team from Arizona. They play in the Dome. They play when it's really hot down in Arizona, but they have a really good baseball team. I have them at number 9 in Big C's Major League Baseball power rankings. I have number 8, Big C's Major League Baseball power rankings. Runners on first and second. That counts for the pitch. Curveball. Swung on. Hit deep. Left field. Back to the wall. Home run. Say hello to my little friends. I love seeing the girls love the long ball and men love to hit deep. I have the Kansas City Royals coming to you from Kauffman Field, and they play good baseball in Kansas City. But the Royals, again, they've shown themselves to be resilient. Kansas City dropped 7 in a row. It's kid that started the September stretch run. Even worse, it lost one of its top RBI producers, and then he had a thumb injury. The great Vinny Pasquantino, rather than going into the tailspin, the Royals, they reeled off 4 straight wins and swept the weekend series against the division foe, the Minnesota Twins. You got to look at this great ball club from Kansas City. They're trying to build a new baseball stadium in Kansas City. We will see, but there's nothing like Kauffman Field. I really like that place. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I got number 7 in Big C's Major League Baseball power rankings. Runners on first and second. That counts for the pitch. Curveball. Swung on. Hit deep. Right field. Back to the wall. Home run. Say hello to my little friends. I love saying the girls love the long ball and men love to hit deep. You got to look at the Houston Astros, those good boys. They've always been, at least in the last decade, one of the top teams in Major League Baseball. And when you think about the great Kyle Tucker back from a 3-month stay on the injured reserve list, and for what can be seen as one of the mystifying lower body injuries, the Astros were more than a little circumspect about the revealing details about Tucker's issues. At the same time, this is a team that's always on the rise down in Houston. On Tuesday, Tucker's yet to play consecutive days since his return and has not started a game on the field. When those streaks will end, it's unclear, and the Astros are not likely to tell anybody. But you got to understand, this is a team that's built for October, and that's why I have them in Big C's Major League Baseball power rankings. You can even put them neck to neck. I'm going to put number 7 at Big C's Major League Baseball power rankings. I got to have them neck and neck. That's my story with Houston. I have the San Diego Padres runners on first and third. The counts for the pitch. Curveball. Swung on. Hit deep. Left field. Back to the wall. Home run. Say hello to my little friends. I love saying the girls love the long ball and men love to hit deep. It doesn't seem as if the great Manny Machado has been a Padre all that long, but he likes going yard. He set the franchise home run record on Tuesday against the Mariners, hitting his 164th home run. Runners on first and third. They count full. The pitch, fastball, swung on, hit deep, left field, back to the wall, home run. Say hello to my little friends. As I told you, the girls love the long ball and men love to hit deep in San Diego. The great Manny Machado, that good boy, he's like he's batting with a laser beam. 164th home run to move past the great Nate Kober for first on the all-time list. It provides Major League Baseball with a great opportunity to take a big picture and look at Machado's season. The all-star third baseman, he struggled through the first couple of months in the wake of the offseason elbow surgery. But that good boy coming back since May, he's doing his thing, has hit 21 home runs and 65 RBIs in 83 games. The team, they need Manny Machado to do his thing. He's been the man that they've counted on in San Diego to get the Padres to the promised land, and this is the year that they may just get there. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. I got number 5 in Big C's Major League Baseball power rankings. Runners on first and second. That counts for the pitch. Curveball. Swung on. Hit deep. Center field. Back to the wall. Home run. Say hello to my little friends. I love saying the girls love the long ball and men love to hit deep. You got Cleveland. This is for you. If you know the movie Major League with the Cleveland Indians, now they're called the Cleveland Guardians. The Guardians have once again created a little separation, and it's been the case all season. Emmanuel Claus has been a big reason. It's time to consider this the best season closer they've ever had, and maybe that's why he's a Cy Young candidate. He's 4-2 with 44 saves in 46 opportunities, and Cleveland's won both games that he blew a save. He has a 0.67 ERA. The best season from a modern closer is Eric Gagnon in 2003, the last reliever to win the Cy Young. He was 2-4 with a 1.20 ERA in 55 for 55 save chances. You got to realize this is a great ball club they put together. I'm telling you, I want to go back into the past. You think about the ERA, 1.95, the great Dennis Eckersley and the great Mariano Rivera also had some great seasons. He's up there with those good old boys, and it always will be in consideration for the Cy Young. I got number 4 in Big C's Major League Baseball power rankings. It's my story. I'm sticking with it. Runners on first and second. The count's full. The pitch, fastball, swung on, hit deep, left field, back to the wall, home run. Say hello to my little friends. I love saying the girls love the long ball and men love to hit deep. The Milwaukee Brewers are hitting deep in Wisconsin. A lot of industry insiders, they look at the Milwaukee as a sleeper pick for October. I don't know if they'll get that, but they are playing good baseball now. The team has been here before, and the underdog people overlook the favorite of the big market, big payoff teams. Now, the Brewers have had varying degrees of success in that role, but they're just suited for this time of year. They're the only team in baseball that ranks the top 6 in runs scored, runs given up, and they play great defense. They also steal just enough bases to keep the opposing batters honest. And the biggest test might be on the mound, where the Brewers don't have a lot of playoff experience, but they have plenty of success in the regular season. But the regular season is not where you win the World Series. You got to get there first, and they have a good team, but I'm not sure if they can climb that mountain as a lot of people in Milwaukee think they will. Well, that's my story. I'm sticking with it. I got number 3 in Big C's Major League Baseball power rankings. Runners on first and second. The count for the pitch, slider, struck on, hit deep, left field, back to the wall, home run. Say hello to my little friends. I love saying the girls love the long ball, and men love to hit deep, especially in New York City. New York City, the Giants are having a down year. The Jets are going to be a good team, but they got to have the New York Yankees doing their thing with the fan base clamored for the top prospect, Jason Dominguez. Promotion, another Yankee rookie quietly continued making his case for some hardware. On Monday, the great Austin Wells, he padded his resume for the American League Rookie of the Year. He had a 440-foot home run, a 3-run homer, and a double in the Yankees win over the Kansas City Royals. He leads all rookies with a 3.7 WAR and the top all catchers with at least 230 plate appearances. On base percentage, slugging percentage, and OPS since June 6th. His emergence was enough for the Yankees. For the Yankees, you got to get the Yankees in my sneeze button to work also. His emergence was enough for the Yankees. Desperate for some offense beyond the great Juan Soto and the great Aaron Judge out of Linden, California at the time to make him their primary cleanup hitter on July 20. He has flourished in the role protecting the great Aaron Judge, who's gone without a home run since August 25th, to give the Yankees another steady power source down the stretch. The great Aaron Judge, maybe he's saving himself for the playoffs. Playoffs? Yeah, he's saving himself for the playoffs. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I got number 2 in Big C's Major League Baseball power rankings. Runners on first and second. The count's full, fastball, slug on, hit deep, center field, back to the wall, home run. Say hello to my little friends. I love saying the girls love the long ball, and men love to hit deep in Philadelphia. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. The great Trey Turner. His time with the Phillies has been marked by a streaky production, but everything counts in the playoffs. We all know that his struggles last season until he finally broke out in August. We know he's in August, and now in September. They're getting ready for the October run. It's a big October run, and you got to look at the Phillies. They're right there at the top of the mountain. At the same time, you got to look at a team that's right there, either in the top 5 it seems most of the year for 2024. I got to think about the Phillies this season. A huge first half hitting .349, and they're a good team. Their pitching is solid. At the same time, you got to look at some of the greater players too. Harper is always considered the primary man on this team in Philadelphia. But I got to tell you, when the Phillies need a hot turner in October, he has to be ready. 10 of 15 steals came in the early season. He's got to get his groove back. And I know they're right there at the top of the mountain. Some people think they're number one. I got number one in Big C's Major League Baseball Power Rankings. Runners on first and second. The count's full. The pitch. Curveball. Swung on. Hit deep. Right field. Back to the wall. Open. Say hello to my little friends. The girls go crazy about the long ball, and men love to hit deep in L.A. Chavez Ravine, the L.A. Dodgers, Big C's number one team. Even though they had a hitch in the giddy-up in Florida last night, I think they'll turn things around. The Dodgers, ravaged by injuries throughout the rotation, they got the encouraging sign longed for on Tuesday when the great Yoshibo Yamabata stood on the mound for the first time in nearly 3 months. He looked every bit as dominant as he did before his shoulder surgery. And now he pitched 4 innings, struck out 8 batters, and gave up a run largely due to a couple of missed plays by his infielders. And the display dominant stuff, a fastball that reaches 90 miles per hour or faster, a devastating curveball, and a splitter with a very sharp command of all three. Up next, the great Tyler Glasnow, his elbow tendonitis, will take part in a 2 or 3 inning stimulated game on Friday, which is expected to be his last step before getting activated off the injured reserve list. Well, that's my story. I'm sticking with it. You look at the LA Dodgers. They've won the National League West 11 of the last 12 years, and they're a team that's always at the top of the mountain when it comes to Major League Baseball. I don't say that they're going to win the World Series this year, but as far as being in the NLCS, there's nothing to keep the Dodgers out of that position because they have the hitters, they have the pitching, they have the chemistry, and all the great things that are so great about all the story of the great late Ben Scully, who did his thing for 57 years as a broadcaster for the LA Dodgers. You got to give it up to LA. We think about the Lakers, probably always on the top of the mind of people in Los Angeles. And then you got to say the Dodgers. The Dodgers number 2 as far as the fan favorite in Los Angeles. You can also follow up with the, in my opinion, the Los Angeles Rams. I would even say, in my opinion, the Los Angeles Chargers, now that Jim Harbaugh's there coaching them, they're off to a 2-0 start. That's going to be a fan favorite to go watch sports in Los Angeles. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. But there's nothing like the Dodger Blue. Chavez Ravine from Major League Baseball. It's always great when the Dodgers are playing and they have a packed house. And Chavez Ravine, it makes things happy, especially for the fans in Los Angeles. That's my story. And I'm sticking with it. May lightning strike if you disagree with Big C's Major League Baseball Power Rankings. I wanna touch on something that I always love touching on when it comes to NFL football, because NFL, as far as ratings, nothing tops the NFL. They're expecting to be a $20 billion industry this year. Roger Goodell's done a great job making sure, as the commissioner of the NFL, the players are getting bigger and bigger contracts because of the TV revenue and how that's money made. I don't hate on them, but I also got to tell you, there are a lot of big-time players in the NFL that make it a great game, and it's must-see television. If you don't want to watch it on television, it's even must hear on the radio. There's a lot of great play-by-play announcers on the radio that bring you great NFL football. I want to just bring a couple of updates to Big C's NFL update. Mike McDaniel, the Dolphins have real concern and confidence. And the quarterback Skylar Thompson starting in place of the great Tua Tagovailoa. They don't want to see Tua in an injured situation, but he is dealing with a concussion. He's going to be out for a couple of weeks now. The player's safety is more important than if he's going to play or not. Also around the league, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the great Baker Mayfield, he has commented on the Carolina Panthers, Bryce Young, the young quarterback, his second season out of Alabama, came out of Mater Dei High School in Santa Ana, California. He's an unfinished story. Baker Mayfield had his own issues in Carolina. So did Sam Darnold in Carolina. And now Bryce Young in Carolina. If you don't have a great offensive line. You can't throw the football when you land on your backside. I was talking to a good friend, Jim Koseric, out of Sports Pro Hero in Chicago today. He talked about the Bears having a great team. The Bears are who we thought they are. You want to crown them, crown them. The late, great Dennis Green. The Bears defense is great. But Caleb Williams also, without a great offensive line, he's going to have a few issues until they can fix that issue. Going into Green Bay, you got the Green Bay Packers, and quarterback Jordan Love returns to practice on a limited basis for the first time since injuring his knee in Brazil against the Philadelphia Eagles. And Green Bay is in a great spot now that the Lions have lost the game to Tampa. And Green Bay had that close loss in Brazil to Philadelphia. The Bears are who we thought they were. You know the Bears are going to have their issues too. But don't overlook how good this Green Bay team can be, especially when they have a lot of Love in the backfield. What's Love got to do? Well, Love got a lot to do with a lot of things in Green Bay. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. I got to tell you, do you panic if you're in Baltimore? Do you panic heading into week 3? Because with the Baltimore Ravens, they have a Super Bowl MVP in Superman Lamar Jackson, but they're 0-2. They lost their 2 games to the defending Super Bowl champion, the Kansas City Chiefs, by the I think they said the receiver's toenails were too long. His toenails were too long, and they couldn't keep the ball in bounds. And then they got another loss to the Raiders, who came from double digits to win that game. It doesn't get any easier for the Gooder Boys from Baltimore because there's more fretful combination in NFL football than starting 0-2, and that's when you have an injury. They don't have big injuries, but it's not a good sign if you start 0-2 at the start of a very demanding season. They went to the AFC Championship game last year, and they hosted it in Baltimore. We all know they lost to Kansas City. The place no team wants to end up if it's serious hopes of getting the Lombardi Trophy and winning Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans, Louisiana. It's become such an annual ritual of looking at the teams that start off 0-2. If you're in a deep hole, it's not really worth supplying the stats to prove how debilitating it can be, that predicament. If you start out 0-2, and then you have a tough division where you got to see Cleveland twice, Cincinnati twice, Pittsburgh twice, it makes it really tough for Baltimore. But if a team can get back, it's going to be on the arm and the legs of Superman Lamar Jackson. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Keep in mind, this Baltimore team, they're a running team, and they have a quarterback in Lamar Jackson. He can figure it out, but it's got to start with getting some wins this week. I think when you look at teams like the Broncos or the Giants sitting in the winless category after week 2, it's a different story when you're talking about the Ravens, the Bengals, or the Rams, all of whom are accustomed to competing in the postseason. The Bengals are 0-2 as well. This gives Cleveland and Pittsburgh being undefeated a tremendous opportunity. But the Steelers, they don't score a lot of points. Their defense is great, like Steel Curtain Part 2. But they got to find a way to get some more points on the scoreboard offensively. Maybe, just maybe they'll bring back Terry Bradshaw and Lynn Swann. You have 1st and 10, 50-yard line, 4 wideouts, 5-man front. The snap rolling to his right. Terry Bradshaw throws downfield. The ball is caught. Caught for the touchdown. Touchdown, Steelers. Lynn Swann, 50 yards. Well, I don't know if Terry Bradshaw can throw the ball deep downfield, and I don't know if Lynn Swann can get deep. But the Steelers, they got to start scoring more points, especially on the back nine of the NFL football season. So it's not too far-fetched to think that by the bye week for the Ravens, if they can roll off some wins and end up with maybe 3 losses by the bye week, they'll be in a good spot. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. For the Miami Dolphins, Tua Tagovailoa, that concussion issue, that will be an issue all season for the Miami Dolphins. It's a tough thing to watch. They had another loss to Buffalo on Thursday night. They got to figure it out. But I don't know if Tua will be the answer for them. You know he's always another hit from having another concussion because I believe he's had 4 so far. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I think if he wants to play, keep playing because players play and they know there's always a danger. I just want to see the man stay healthy. Well, that's my story. I'm sticking with it. You heard Big C Sports talking to you about reparations, also about the Big C team and the RDC team. You heard Big C Sports talk about Major League Baseball power rankings. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. And I love the part of the California Reparations Task Force and the inimitable speeches of the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And I know that reparations are on the top of the mind for this presidential election. If you don't talk about reparations for this election, you can't think that people don't know who you are. You got to bring it up. You've done it for descendants of Holocaust. You've done it for Japanese Americans, Native Americans. A lot of people have gotten reparations, except for descendants of chattel slavery. We got to fix that. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. As I always tell you on Big C Sports Podcast, I thank you for listening, and tell a friend. If you're going to drink, don't drive. If you're going to drive, don't drink. Because mothers against drunk drivers are mad, and fathers against drunk drivers are mad. It's one of the easiest things not to do. You can walk it off. You can sleep it off. You can call Uber. You can call Lyft. But don't let someone you love get behind the wheel of a car and start driving after they've been drinking. The life you save may be your own, or someone you love, or someone that someone else loves. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. If you see someone drinking and start to drive, just ask them, are you out of your fucking mind? That's what Captain Kirk always said to Spock. Are you out of your fucking mind? Let somebody else drive. Don't let your ego put you where you can't get out of it, if that makes sense to you. As my beautiful mother always says, there's never ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. If you're going through that crap, you need more LEADA in your life. What's LEADA, Big C? LEADA is an acronym for love is the answer. If somebody's hitting you, only slap you because you made me mad. Call 911. If someone's kicking you, only kicked you because you made me mad. Call 911. If someone's choking you out, only choked you out because you made me mad. Pick up the phone and call 911. Things change when the police show up. No man, woman, or child deserves to go through that crap. If somebody loves you, they don't hit you, they don't slap you, they don't kick you, they don't choke you out. Call 911. I guarantee things will change when the police show up. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. Well, I want to give praise and pay homage to my beautiful family legacy, as I do on every Big C Sports podcast. I start on my beautiful mother's side, my great-grandparents, Mamo and Pop. Beautiful, loving, kind people, always making sure lots of love in the family and lots of food in the belly, especially when it's time to eat. We come from outside playing all sweaty like little boys do. Great grandma, I'm hungry. What do you have in the refrigerator? She said, baby, go wash your hands and you can have some of those collard greens I made. I don't got time to wash my hands. I'm hungry now. She said, baby, you wash your hands in this house. And she was right. We had to wash our hands before we got the collard greens. Always making sure lots of love in the family and lots of food in the belly. And then my great-grandfather, Pop, former military man and former Negro League baseball player, can fix anything. Love them with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then my beautiful grandparents, Muddy and Hezekiah, they were seers. They can oftentimes look at a person and tell you a lot about their past, their present, and their future. They still help me to this day. I love them with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And I can always depend on my mama, the most beautiful mama in the history of the universe. Started a Head Start program, a food program, and also coaching all boys and Little League baseball team to the championship of the universe. It was always runners on first and third. It counts for the pitch curveball. Swagger, hit deep, right field, back to the roll, home run, Big C. I was hitting deep when I was 11 years old. I love my mama with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. The best person I ever met in my life. Dear mama, you hear my praise. Say yes, mama. Say yes. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then on my father's side, my grandparents, Albert and Alberta Curry, they were pastors. They had 3 churches. They also owned 2 gas stations. I was 8 years old walking through the hallway about 10 o'clock at night in Oakland. I felt somebody touch me in my forehead. She said, what are you doing, young man? Going to get some cookies? I said, well, what are you doing, Grandma? It's 10 o'clock at night. You normally go to bed at 8:30. She said, what are you doing, young man? Going to get some cookies? I said, cookies are baby crap to what I'm doing, Grandma. I'm going to get my reparations. But a couple of cookies wouldn't hurt. It's been a long wait. She said, there's something about your voice. I love hearing you speak. And now Big C Sports Podcast is streaming all over the universe. Love my grandparents with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. My beautiful father, former United States Air Force fighter pilot, chief mechanic, always making sure that planes can fly high so we can all stay safe at night. Always saying develop your mind to its highest extent. I love my dad with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then I gotta tell you, my beautiful brother Todd, with that bombastic voice, sound like thunder and lightning when Todd would speak, always saying go forward. A voracious reader. You know we love Malcolm X, but we also love the movie Pulp Fiction. Todd would always say, hey, go forward. Don't look back, because you don't have much backside. I said, I love my backside, Todd. But he said my backside wasn't big enough, so that's why I've been doing more squats so my backside could get bigger. I want my backside to get a little bit bigger. Not too big, but big enough, if that makes sense to you. You know, we love this movie called Pulp Fiction. It reminds me of a lot of athletes. It had John Travolta, Ben Rames, Sam Jackson, and Bruce Willis. Before the big fight, Ben Rames told Bruce Willis, he said, come here, boy, take this money. Remember, your butt goes down in the 5th round. Say that, Flip! He said, okay, my butt goes down in the 5th round. He told him, that stinging sensation you're feeling, well, that's just pride flipping with you. And he said what a lot of athletes say to each other. He said, fuck pride. He said, pride only hurts. It never helps. He said the boxing's filled with a lot of unrealistic muddly bluckers who think their butt gets better with time like fine wine, but it don't. In terms of vinegar, then it do. Now take this money, and remember, you're going to be chilling in the Caribbean. You're going to say Uncle Marcellus is right. We know he did not take the dive, and he lost his LA privileges. I love Todd with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. My beautiful daughter, Daisy, the most beautiful daughter in the history of the universe. College graduate, 2 degrees with honors in 3.5 years from a major university. Daisy, you can be anything you want to be. Always trust God, Isaiah 54:17. In fact, Daisy set up the very first interview for Big C Sports Podcast back in the days of Salem Media. It became the first time in the history of the United States that NFL Monday Night Football started broadcasting live on the Wall Street Business Network. They would normally go to ESPN and do their thing, but because of 2 black men in the crew, they started doing their thing with the iHeartRadio and Salem Media. Things changed. I'm still standing, and now they've lost the program. Daisy, I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Always trust God. You can do anything you want to do. In fact, Daisy scored 6 goals in a soccer game one time. It was Daisy for the kick, Daisy for the goal, goal, goal. She did it left-footed as a right-footed kicker. Call it ambidextrous. Daisy, always trust God. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. You can be anything you want to be. And then my beautiful, handsome son, Malcolm, the most handsome son in the history of the universe. College graduate, very smart, erudite, a good man. You can do anything you want to do, son. Always trust God, Isaiah 54:17. I pray that no weapon formed against you will prosper. Malcolm helped me save trees. I used to always get the newspaper and look up stats for Big C Sports Podcast. One day Malcolm said, Dad, why don't you just Google it? I've been Googling ever since. And now I'm on 29 podcast platforms. One day Malcolm said, Dad, you want to see Big C Sports on TV? I said, sure. He said, pick up the remote, aim it at the TV, and say, play Big C Sports. You see your show come up. That's before it was even on the air. Now it's streaming on 4 TV platforms: Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Malcolm, always trust God, Isaiah 54:17. No weapon formed against you will prosper. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then Big C, with all that wealth of knowledge over the years, like my great-grandparents coming out of that barn, always saying, you got to believe, you got to believe, you got to believe. Say, let's get ready to rumble. I love to say welcome to the show. As been nominated, Big C Sports Podcast. I have no scripts. I have no 3-minute teleprompters. I have no producer in my ear. All I have is this gland in the brain called the pineal gland. The ancients call it the third eye. They say that's how you talk to God, and that's why I talk so loud. I want God to hear me. God, you hear my prayers. Matthew 7:7 says, ask, ye shall receive. Seek, ye shall find. And knock, it shall be opened unto you. Do it now, God. Do it now. You know what I mean. That's my story, and I take it with it. I love paying homage to Muhammad Ali. Back in the day, there's a man known by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He's known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, you float like a butterfly, you sting like a bee, rumble, young man, rumble. He said, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Ali said, I'm so pretty, I can't possibly be beat. Every time I listen to Big C Sports, I want to champion reparations at last. Reparations at last. Thank God Almighty. Reparations at last. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. Well, you've heard Dr. Martin Luther King, and I love paying homage to him and President Abraham Lincoln. And this is what they're saying for the next president of the United States. Reparations at last. Reparations at last. Thank God Almighty. Reparations at last. Reparations at last. Reparations at last. Thank God Almighty. Reparations at last. I thank you. I appreciate you. And I hope that you have a super fantastic day. That's dope, man.